Welcome students. I am Mr. Doss from St.Joseph College of Arts and Science Autonomous from the Department of English. Today we are going to learn about where I lived and what I live for. This topic was written by Henry David Thoreau. He was a pretty brilliant writer. He did not feel the need to answer to anyone. When the advancement of society asked him what kind of a scientist he was, he refused to give a clear response. In his journal, he writes, "I am a mystic, a transcendentalist, and a natural philosopher to boot." The transcendentalist photohypes, why might say, were a group of writers and thinkers based in Concord and Massachusetts in the midst of 19th century. The leader of the pack was actually Thoreau's pale and rough Waldo Emerson, who happened to loan him the land of Walden Pond, where Thoreau would ultimately commence his personal experience. Thoreau is often known as a first environmentalist or ecologist. Sure, there were already natural conservationists and movements at the time, but Thoreau's Walden was one of the earliest attempts to present these ideas as a coherent philosophy. Now we are going to see about the meaning of the topic where I lived and what I live for. Where I lived and what I live for is Thoreau's narrative about the benefits of living simply and avoiding the evils that have penetrated society by leaving to live in the woods. Specifically, it is the true purpose of life. One of the area of society that he addresses is the idea of progress, the individual power to live an everyday life charged with meaning, and he has faith in self-reliance over societal and instructions, focusing instead on the goodness of humankind and the profound lessons it can learn from nature. As I said in the beginning, the author Thoreau is a naturalistic, poet, philosopher, and essayist. He is an invaluable asset to the American literary writer. He is a transcendentalist as well. The recommended text is the second chapter of his Walden, where I lived and what I live for. His own experience at Walden Pond, where he stayed between July 4th, 1845 and September 6th, 1847, 2 years, 2 months and 2 days shaped Walden. It can be described as a spiritual biography as well as an attempt to self-reformation. So it is Thoreau's quest for spiritual living. Thoreau describes going to live alone in the woods in a hut he built by the side of Walden Pond. He wished to experiment with living close to nature, away from society, where the mass men lead lives of quiet desperation. He desired to live simply, without modern conveniences, for he desired to be free, to study nature and his own spirit in peace, to contemplate, read and write. He had taken a survey of the area while living there, and he felt that the entire his work belonged about himself. As a result, he claims, in my imagination, I bought all the farms in successions, for all were to be bought, and I knew their price. I walked over each farm's grounds, tasted his wild appeals, and conversed on husbandry. He continues. On the 4th of July 1845, he moved into his cabin on Walden Pond. Albeit it was not yet finished, it was situated between Concord village and Lincoln town. In a densely forested area, the nearby pond was stunning. As a result of his ongoing investigations in that area, he became familiar with the environment and the farmers who lived surrounding Walden Pond. His love of communication made him look forward to this neighborhood was visited by him. He frequently imagined himself as the owner of several estates and buildings. Every aspect of his stay there cherished in the natural grandeur, particularly the delightful morning in practically every paragraph in where I lived and what I live for. A description of dawn of morning can please the reader. Every dawn was an invitation to him to live a simple and innocent life in the midst of nature. He desired to live life to the greatest, deepest extent imaginable. Life is a beautiful gift to him. Most people, in their misguided meanness and obsession with trivialities, he emphasizes this style of living by stating simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. I say, confine your affair to 2 or 3, not 100 or 1,000, instead of 1,000,000. Maintain the half dozen and keep your accounts on your thumbnail. Thoreau is a firm believer that the fanatic lifestyle cannot be enjoyed truthfully if one wishes to live a simple life. We should not take out technological and industrial advancements and the service they provide too seriously. So from this topic the author wants to tell, as a result, he appeals to us all and saying, let us spend one day as a methodologically as a nature. Thank you, Ananda.